everyone. This is going to be our first class on the paper ICT. So today we'll just go about how the paper will look like. We'll do some introduction only. And while doing this, please keep in mind that I will be recording the session and maybe I will share the content of the recordings later on. So as it is visible from your uh, screen, we will be, I'll give you some simple definition, introduction to what is communication and what is telecommunication, so that you will have the basic idea of how communication took place and how telecommunication is expanding the way we communicate. As you know that when people are communicating, if you look at this one, this uh, small diagram, communication have various components. Somebody who sends a message, that message is encoded, and then that encoded message go through it and it is decoded and then received by the receiver. Now, if we said it like that, it is very simple. But communication was not so simple all the time. And communication has been very, very important for human beings. If you remember, if you can remember the birth of a child, as soon as a child is born, the child tries to communicate with the world to which they are introduced by way of crying. Now, when the child is crying, they are actually communicating that their environment have changed, because how it fell from the mother's womb and how it fell in the open space is completely different. So that change that the child felt, is whether it's comfortable or uncomfortable, is communicated by the child by crying. And that's how we know that uh, the child is able to communicate. That's why many times when a baby is born and the baby is not crying, then they try to make them cry, because that ensures so many other things also. So from birth to death, we cannot live without communicating. That is why human beings are also said to be communicating beings, or uh, creations which are in communication all the time. Our life seems to have more meaning when we are communicating. Now, but these communication have certain limitations. When we are communicating, uh, using the open ear. So when we are using the open ear, we we are very limited to how far that open ear can carry our voices. So how much our voices can be carried in the open ear is very limited. That is why, since it is very limited, people try to overcome these barriers. People try to overcome these barriers by trying to communicate in long distance. So historically, if you look at the history of communication, there are so many efforts has been there, so many ways of extending our communication limitation are there. So what happened is, people try to communicate using smoke signals. People try to communicate using the sound of drum. People try to communicate by using messengers. So these are some of the communication that we try to communication attempts to overcome the communication barriers we have, because our communication is limited to as far as the wind can carry our sound, our voice. So that is why there has been a lot of attempts in the history of communication on how mankind tries to overcome the barrier of communication. But many of these, most of these communication have their own limitations. For example, there are cases when people use pigeons. I think you also might have heard that the people are using using pigeons. They use they attach some kind of messages to pigeons, and then they send the pigeon to wherever they want to send that messages. But there is a problem there. Say, for example, if the pigeon is being shot down by somebody, or if the pigeon is being eaten by another bird or some other animal, then the messages will not reach there. So the certainty of a pigeon making it to the destination is the chance is very less. That is why what happened is uh, people realize that pigeon is not the only, is not a reliable way of uh, communication. But then it is still done. Then there are, if we when we when we talk about history, how wars are fought, how messages are being delivered. There are people. There are times when they use uh, delivery. Messengers by horseback. Now, messengers by horseback are also not free from problems, because the messenger may or may not make it. For example, in a war situation, the messenger chances of the messenger being uh, killed is very high, or being injured is also is very high. So these are just some of the examples where communication, human beings tries to overcome communication barriers, and then they find that it is not so easy. So then finally what happened is Graham Bell come up with his telephone system. So that actually changed the landscape of communication. Communication has since then overcome the barrier. So what happened is this long distance communication becomes something like a permanent thing. Now, in a normal situation, if you let us try to understand how we communicate using verbal communication. Now, if you look at this particular thing on the picture on the right side, is it visible? Is this picture visible? Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
I think one of you should be putting your microphone on on mode so that you can respond me every now and then. Otherwise, I feel like I'm talking to the computer screen. Will you please do that? Okay, if you look at this, I have taken this uh, from this particular source, Telecommunication Demystified by Carl Nassar. This is illustrations from that particular book. Now, if you look at this, that two people are trying to communicate. Now, when this person, the communicator or the sender, is communicating, okay, uh, I think obviously the picture looks like a C, so C is using her vocal cords. So in her vocal cords, there are some vibrating elements. So that vibrating elements can give us the sound, a high pitch sound, a low pitch sound. So that vibration, variation of vibration can give us different sounds. Plus that vibration, when it comes out from the windpipe, as you can see here, when it comes from the windpipe, uh, the vibrating, when it reaches a mouth, with the help of our mouth and tongues, we can make different formation in our mouths and tongues. So that different formation in mouths and tongue with a combination of uh, different frequency of vibration, that is more frequency, less frequency of vibration, combination of all of that give us the capacity to make complex sounds, different types of sounds. So that is what we use as human beings to what? To encode. Encode what? If you look here, we are encoding the messages. So what is these messages actually? Okay, whatever we are using, I mean, we are using sound to encode. What is that thing that we are encoding? It is our thoughts, our mental picture. We are putting something uh, in our heads, in our mind, and that we try to communicate it to the uh, people who are around us, to whomever we want to communicate. So our thoughts, we have a mental picture, and then if that mental picture can be communicated accurately, and the person who receives that communication can decode it and receive it exactly as we intend it to be, then that is a successful communication. But that is not always the case. Now, coming back to this picture, this illustration, so she is using the vibration in her windpipe, which is right here in her windpipe. That vibration generates sounds. It comes out through the windpipe, and then the windpipe, and then here when it hits a mouth, from the mouth, with the different formation of the mouth and the tongue, the 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 voice. I mean, the sound is further. Uh, further modified, and then finally that vibration goes out in the air, and then it reaches the destination. Now the channel we are using here is the air. So that means in a vacuum where there is no air, we cannot make sound. So that sound that we are making, in this case, she's asking how about Chinese. Maybe they are trying to have a Chinese food or something. Then similarly, in the receiver, the person who receive also, uh, he get the message or the vibration through his ear, and his ear has eardrums. He have a very complex ear, and then within that ear there are what they call it, cilia, or tiny hairs. So those tiny hairs are very sensitive to vibration. It receives those vibration. Ultimately, the hearing system, the air system, or the air, uh, translate those vibrations through the brain. The brain process those vibrations, and then we could understand that this sound means that, and that sound means that. So that is how communication takes place. Basically, how it is done is complex form of vibration that becomes sound, and that sound is being communicated through a channel, which is the ear itself. So this is how a voice communication takes place. Now, for so many years, this form of communication has been in place, and historically, people are trying to overcome these barriers, because this cannot go beyond certain distance. So the distance between the communicator, the sender, or the receiver is very limited. Long distance communication is not possible. So that is why people historically try to overcome this barrier of communication being limited to a very short space only. Now, if we come back to this particular diagram, as we said, the sender is sending the messages in voice communication. We are using codes. The code is the language, whatever language we are using, and that is being used. And then that encoded and codification is about the message. We encode it in the language, and the receiver, using the same language, decode it again and receives it. Now, here is one point. The sender and the receiver should be able to understand this code. Whatever is used to code the messages should be both understandable by the sender and the receiver. Now, if both of them do not use the same code or are able to use the same code, then there will be no communication. Similarly, if the sender and the receiver do not speak when it comes to voice communication, do not speak the same language, then there will be no communication. They should be able to use the same language. So in other words, they should be able to code and decode the messages in the same codification system. Now, when the receiver receives it, the receiver may or may not send feedback. For example, when I asked you in this class, when we started this class, whether you are able to see or not, or whether you are able to hear me or not, you reply to me, yes, we can see you, we can hear you. That is the feedback I am receiving from you as a receiver and me as a sender. So that is one thing. Now, feedback is important. So for any form of communication, this feedback always takes an important place. Now, another issue here is noise. Whenever there are communication, whether it is vocal communication, telecommunication, there will always be noise. Noise is always present. Now, the problem with noise is that the noise can be generated from the sender side, or it can be generated at the receiver side, or it can be within the message itself. So one of the primary objective of an effective communication is to reduce noise. We cannot completely avoid noise, but to reduce noise, because when the noise is louder than the message, there is a possibility that the noise becomes louder than the message, then communication becomes a miscommunication, or there is no communication. Therefore, in any form of communication, the attempt is to reduce noise and then make the message clearer. That is one of the major challenges in any form of communication. Now, let us come to telecommunication systems. So before we go to that, we have we said that there is a sender, or the person, whoever is transmitting. In other words, in telecommunication, they call the sender as a transmitter. And then there is a receiver. The receiver in telecommunication terms, they call it the receiver itself. And then there will be a channel, and that channel is in terms of vocal communication, it will be the open ear, but in terms of the telecommunication, it will be some form of cable or some kind of signal carrier and all. We'll discuss all those things in detail. Now, when we come to telecommunication, there are two things in telecommunication. One is the communication system itself. That is a system in which information is transmitted from one physical location to another physical location. So that is the communication system itself. Second is that a system which allows this information to be sent beyond the range of vocal or visual communication. So these are the two things. Telecommunication is a communication system in which information is transmitted from point A to point B. And second, it is also a system which allows this information to go beyond the limitation of the vocal or visual communication. Now, like I said in the beginning, smoke signals were used. People use blankets and smoke signals sent up to the sky. But this communication, was used so many years ago. And then while they used horses until the 1850s, and as early as some years ago also, people are still using horses. And then in 1980, sorry, yeah, in 19, no, not 19, in 1844, okay, in 1844, I think some of you might have heard of Samuel Morse. Okay, Samuel Morse. He built a device and he called it what? He called it the telegraph. He called it the telegraph. Now, that was the beginning of, that is the end of using of the horses as messengers. Okay. Otherwise, people send letters using horse carriers and all. So this telegraph consists of a person and a sending key, which when pressed by the person, it creates a flow of electricity. So this key has three status, which off, which means that the key was not pressed, then dot, which means the key was pressed for a short time, and then release, and dash, which means the key pressed for a longer time, and then release. So each letter of the alphabet was represented by a particular sequence of dots and dashes. So to keep the time to send a message short, the most commonly used letters in the alphabets were represented by the fewest possible dots and dashes. For example, the letter, for example, the letter T is a very common letter when you are communicating in the English language. So this letter T is represented by a dash, and the letter E, for example, was represented by a single dot. So like that, every letter in the English alphabet has been represented with dots and dashes. Now, the electricity created by the person and the sending the key transmitter was sent along this wire to the receiver, which consists of an audio speaker and a person. At the receiving end also, there is an audio speaker and a person. So when the electricity reaches the audio speaker from the wires, it made a beeping sound, a dot sound like a short beep, and a dash sound like a longer beep. So the person on hearing these beeps, okay, on the receiving end, decodes it, okay, decodes a letter that has been sent. So the overall system could send about 2 letters in a second, or they can send, around 120 letters a minute. So they said the first word which was sent by Samuel Morse using the Morse code, these dash and dots are also known as that Morse code, is, they said, is what has got wrought. That means what has got shaped or beaten or shaped by hammering. So So for Samuel Morse, it was something really good. So he's he go to the extent of challenging that what has got done. Now after this, in the year, where is this? Yeah, in the year 76, Alexander Graham Bell. Okay, Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, whose first word on the phone where they said, "Mr. Watson, come at once. I need you." So it seems that Graham Bell has spilled some acid on his pen, and he was calling his assistant. Maybe that was the first time they realized that something has been communicated. I mean, they are able to communicate their voices over the telephone. So this telephone, which is invented by Graham Bell in 1876. If you look at if you come to the left side, figure 1.4, Monica and Carl talking on a telephone. This also I picked it up uh, from this source, Telecommunication Demystified by Carl Nasser, the same book from where I picked up the other uh, diagram. So here, we have already explained that how our vocal cords are responsible. Here, this is a small vocal cord, uh, are responsible for vibration, creating vibration. Let me just change the color of the pen to make it a little bit more visible. Yeah. So vocal cord helps in creating low or high frequency vibrations, which ultimately through the windpipe becomes a sound. And then we use our mouth, the structure of the mouth, and then to further modify that sound. And then that sound is being is received by this telephone. So this is the mouthpiece through which the vibration or the voice is being received. And here, you will notice that there is a 4-volt power supply is there. Then you have the carbon granules, and then you have a diaphragm. Now, what happened is that this mixture of all of these things are able to receive that vibration, and then ultimately it get converted into electrical signals. So that electrical signal goes through a channel, in this case a copper wire, because the first telephone system, medium of telephone system was copper wire. So it is transmitted through the copper wire. There is a channel, and then when it reaches here, the receiver side, this is the earpiece. The earpiece has electromagnet, and which also has a speaker system, small, and then ultimately that vibration which is received, electrical signal received through the copper wire, is being reconverted into vibration, which was received as it is received here on the receiver side, and then that sound goes to the eardrum. As we said, the eardrum, like we explained it earlier, is a very sensitive to vibration, which is the cause of sound, and then ultimately the brain translate that if it is this sound, that it means that, or the vibration means this. Okay, so that is how it takes place. Now we see that we have a in case of telecommunication, we have a transmitter, we have a receiver. So this is how telecommunication takes place. I mean, what has been basically simple creation of sound in the open ear is ultimately captured with the help of the telecommunication system. That is captured, and then uh, long distance communication is possible. They said at one initially when Graham Bell started this invented this telephone system. He not only invented a telephone system, but he also created a company, a telephone company. I think that must have been the first telephone company ever created. So he becomes, he supplies this telecommunication facility, telephone facility to people who can afford it during those days. Not everyone can afford during those days. So what Graham Bell did was that if you want to communicate, if you want to set up a communication, for example, I am here, my house is here, and my neighbors or my relative's house is here. So what happened is that the Graham Bell's telephone company will come when I apply or pay for my connection. They'll come and make a connection between these two. Now, there is another person. I have a friend who is residing here, and I want to be connected with the friend also. Then they'll put another wire here. Then I have an aunt or somebody who's staying here, and they'll connect that. So similarly, they also connect with others. So every communication, to whom do you, whom do you want to speak? If you want to speak to 10 people through telephone, then they'll connect those 10 people. So it is a mesh topology, which is probably very cumbersome. They said the amount of copper wire used, the price of the copper wire, if it is sell in the market, then it will be much more costlier than the Bell's telephone company itself. So that was a simple way of connecting between telecommunication. However, that started the revolutionization of the communication system. It becomes more and more complex. It becomes more and more advanced. And today, we have starting from the telephone, Graham Bell's telephone in 1876. In 2020, we are already, the advances we made in the communication is so much, telecommunication is so much that today we are able to take online classes where you can see each other, through video conferencing. So basically, this is built on the built from the foundation of the first telecommunication system, which is further built from the basic communication of how human beings communicate through their voices. The Bell's, if you look at the Bell's communication, telephone system, it is taken from this model. How two people are talking to each other using their vocal cords and their ears. So the same thing has been replicated in the telephone system. And then ultimately we have a complex communication system like the internet or the data communications, which we are doing it now. So for today, this much will be our first class, Introduction to Communication, Telecommunication. I'll make these things available online, and you can ask, or you can listen to these things even after this class is over. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.